Welcome to the F1 Authentics end of season auction preview. We're very excited to share with you some of the items that we have put together. We have to start with this item, which is probably one of my favorite in the entire auction, and that's not an easy feat. It is a 1992 Fondmetal GR02, chassis number 3 of only 3 cars built. This is a fully restored running Formula 1 car. It was originally designed for the 1992 season, where it was driven by Erik van der Poel in 3 Grand Prix, achieving a best finish of 10th at the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yes, so many memories, you know. Of course, when you do the championship, when you arrive in your home Grand Prix, it's something special. So I was there. It was at the Grand Prix of Belgium, Formula 1, and everything was going well because I was in a competitive car. We had quite interesting and good qualify. In the race, okay, we are in the middle of the field with everybody. Wow. With this car was unbelievable. And I remember very well at the end of the race was the head turning and I could finish the race in 10th position. Was really incredible, and I loved this sensation.
The car was raced during 3 races, after which the team ran out of funding. The team decided to sell this car to a private collector in Rome, Italy, who kept the car in their living room for nearly 35 years. Erik van der Poel knew about this car, traveled down to Rome in a van with a friend of his in early 2020 to pick this car up and restore it. The car was then delivered to Mecauto, one of the premier historic racing facilities in Europe, who restored the car completely, although it needed very limited work. A new engine was sourced for it, a new Cosworth V8, and a new electronics were installed, so the car now is presented with a Motec ECU and a Motec dashboard, which allow easier running for a new owner. The car was driven and was shakedown at Spa-Francorchamps with Erik van der Poel behind the wheel in the rain. The complete restoration, of course, has been blessed by Sergio Rinland, the car's original chief engineer, who supplied drawing and expertise to the Mecauto team.
I mean, as I said, it's the car I'm most proud of. And the whole process of building that car is what filled me with pride. Because aerodynamically had a lot of innovations that took many, many years for other Formula 1 cars to have. I'm hoping that whoever buys that car brings it back to life. That car needs to breathe, needs to run. Yeah, it's not good to be sitting just in a museum. Yeah, it's a living creature. It's a running car, and it would be lovely to see it, I don't know, see it at Goodwood going up the hill or racing in the historic Formula 1 races.
It is an incredible opportunity to own a piece of history and a running piece of history, and a piece of history that you can race and you can enjoy in similar way to the F1 drivers of the era. It's the only running Fondmetal in existence. To have been restored to this level by a workshop such as Mecauto and have been overseen by the chief engineer and the driver in period is something that makes this particular car especially important. This next item is incredibly special for its size and its historical significance. It is the rim and tire from a 1997 Williams FW19, the last Williams car to win the World Championship with Jacques Villeneuve. The tire was donated to the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club, who had it signed by most of the 1997 and most of the 1998 grid. There are 5 World Championships on the tire. There are signatures from Michael Schumacher, Mika Häkkinen, Alan Prost, Damon Hill, and 1997 World Champion Jacques Villeneuve. The tire has of course also been signed by other legends, including Rubens Barrichello, Giancarlo Fisichella, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and others. It's particularly exciting to have an item like this because it's very rare to have an item where all drivers on the grid have signed it. There were usually time frame limitations. They're not all present in the same place at one time. So it's incredibly exciting to have an item like this that has been signed by everyone, significant in that grid. This 2025 Alex Albon helmet, race used at the Singapore Grand Prix. It's a helmet that's incredibly exciting for 2 reasons. First of all, the paint job, and second of all, the race. Firstly, the race. Unfortunately, both Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz were disqualified from the qualifying session for DRS infringement. Alex Albon's car then had to be modified in Parc Fermé, which led him to have to start the race from the pit lane. Fortunately, Alex Albon raced an incredible race and finished in P14. The helmet he wore during that race was this incredible piece. The design is based on an illustration by the Brooklyn-based illustrator Carlotta Fryer. This design was then adapted for helmet use by MDM Designs and painted by Massimo Dante. It's full of incredible details, the main one being the skyline, the Singapore skyline, that iconic Marina Bay Sands hotel. There's kids playing with a kite here, which I love. And then, of course, the sponsors. Even though he left the Red Bull family, he's kept a very close relationship with the Thai side of the Red Bull brand. That part of the Red Bull brand owns Monsoon Valley, which is the first winemaker in Thailand. And it's good to see that nod to Red Bull on this helmet, even though it's a Williams helmet. And of course, the racewear. Given that it has been worn during the Grand Prix, it's full of bug splatters, a little bit of rubber there in one of the vents, and just general wear and tear. Our next item is Pierre Gasly's 2024 US Grand Prix race-worn helmet. But my favorite detail about this helmet, other than of course the wear and tear and the genuine race usage and his signature, is the details that Pierre Gasly decides to include in his helmets that show the gentleman that he is. He continues to honor his friends, Jules Bianchi and Antoine Hubert. Both drivers unfortunately passed away racing not long ago and were known to be close friends of him. The helmet was designed by the design agency BS Designs in France, and they're the people behind a lot of the iconic helmets that we see on the grid, including Isaac Hadjar's helmet that includes physics equations and mathematical equations. Our next item is an incredibly exciting one, but I'll have to be honest with you, I've not yet seen it. We are very fortunate to have been trusted by Red Bull to sell Yuki Tsunoda's 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix race-worn helmet, with all proceeds of the sale going towards Red Bull's charity Wings for Life. Yuki Tsunoda, what a driver. He's been performing incredibly with Red Bull this season, and we know from past performances at Las Vegas that he usually likes to do special liveries. I look forward to seeing what he comes up with for this race. We are honored to be able to share with you this next item. This is Nico Hulkenberg's 2025 Mexico Grand Prix race-worn helmet. Nico Hulkenberg has decided to sell this helmet and donate the proceeds of the sale to the Hanair Foundation. The helmet has been designed using Aztec motifs and includes a beautiful representation of the Aztec sunstone, the Piedra del Sol, which is a gorgeous stone sculpture that currently lives in the Anthropology Museum in Mexico City. Another feature which I quite like about this helmet is the small Camozzi logo on the front. To see such a beautiful helmet tied to an incredible city like Mexico be sold and the proceeds be donated to such a wonderful charity is fantastic. This is Max Verstappen's 2024 Las Vegas race-issued signed race suit. The 2024 Las Vegas Grand Prix was incredibly important for Max Verstappen because it was the race he won his 4th World Championship at, making him one of only 3 drivers in F1 history to have 4 World Championships. Of course, Sebastian Vettel and the Professor, Alan Prost. Max drove an incredible race. The suit, as all Red Bull suits, is beautiful. Great colors, the Red Bull logo always very, very bright, but the blue stripes on the side. They're manufactured by Sparco, but branded as Castore. So you'll see that a lot of the newer ones will have the Sparco blacked out. The signature here on the front is beautiful. Nice, clear, big Max Verstappen signature. Just an all-round great suit. An incredible moment, and one that this suit reflects, is seeing Max Verstappen win his 4th World Championship in F1. The next item is a fascinating one. It comes to us directly from the McLaren vault. From what we were told, McLaren made 4 of these. They were made using real Formula 1 rims, we believe from either a 2010 or 2011 F1 car, which would have been the MP4 25 and MP4 26. Of course, both driven by Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. The rim itself has been painted in what we believe to be McLaren Volcano Orange, the color that they used for the launch of the street car, the MP4-12. The tire has been replaced with the carbon or composite made in a beautiful glossy carbon fiber, and you can tell that this has been made by an expert. You can see there's no imperfections to the weave anywhere in the visible areas. This being a composite part has to be made out of two pieces. There will be a front half and a rear half that then get bonded in the middle. It's an incredible item, and one that really has to be seen in person to understand its beauty and its quality. This next item is incredible, not just for its size, but for its importance. It comes to us directly from Sauber. It is the rear wing from the Stake Sauber C44, from the launch car that the team used to debut their new design for the 2024 season. It was a car that was driven by Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu during that season. This rear wing is a replica wing. The color is beautiful. It's the pearlescent green that shines in the light. Beautiful item with a very good provenance coming from the launch car of the 2024 season. This next item is incredible, just in its size alone. It is a 1982 engine cover from a McLaren MP4-1 used by Niki Lauda in the 81 season. It comes to us directly from the McLaren vault and is one that we're very excited to present to you. The McLaren MP4-1, the 1982 car, was the start of an era for McLaren. It was the start of the MP4 family, which of course went on to win multiple championships with all the great drivers of the era. Designed by the legendary John Barnard that then went on to design for Ferrari, Steve Nichols that stayed with McLaren and did some of their best cars. This item showcases the innovation that the MP4-1 had. It's a fully composite bodywork piece and relatively complex in its geometry for the time. We can see here the intake where the Cosworth DFV would have had its intake or its filters for the throttle bodies. A sticker that I love, the Delorto carburetors. To anyone that loves racing or has driven go-karts, Delorto is a brand that you'll be fond of. The part includes the fantastic Marlboro colors, which are painted. You know, this seam is a painted line, and you can imagine the artisans at McLaren having to mask that and paint it back in period. It's an incredible piece and linked to a great car from McLaren and Niki Lauda, who is a world champion and a driver that we all admire. This next item is one of our re-engineered items. In this case, we took the nose cone from an Aston Martin AMR 21, their 2021 car, the car that Aston Martin as a brand used to restart their heritage in Formula 1. This car was driven by Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. Sebastian Vettel, of course, achieved an incredible podium at Baku that year. The piece itself is the nose cone and the front impact structure from the AMR 21 and incorporates aerodynamic features. You can see the single cooling hole in the nose, which is normally used to cool part of the front suspension. If you peek inside, it's pretty incredible. You can see the 4 locating pins that the mechanics and engineers will use to mount that wing into the tub. Beautiful piece and one that tells a story because you can see the front and you can almost picture the wear that the car will have seen during its racing history. Our next item is an Aston Martin AMR 24 replica steering wheel. The AMR 24 was the car Aston Martin used in the 2024 season, driven by both Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. It was a beautiful car with that iconic Aston Martin racing green. It's the car that Fernando Alonso drove to 2 fastest laps at both the Chinese Grand Prix and the Austrian Grand Prix that year. The wheel is manufactured in pre-preg carbon fiber, replicating the same material and the same construction method that the F1 team uses. Our wheel has different modes, so you can go through the different modes. My favorite feature about it is the paddle shifts. And something that a lot of people don't know is that some F1 cars have a single gear paddle across the back, which allows the driver to upshift by pulling and downshift by pushing, should he not be available to hit it with his other hand. A great item that would look incredible on an office desk. The F1 Authentics end of season auction is live from November 18th through to December 9th. Don't miss your last chance this season to get hold of some incredible memorabilia.